Thanks for waiting a couple of minutes. Sorry, we just left a briefing with the NYPD Transit Bureau and the MTA police. I am announcing today a reward that the MTA, $10,000 for information leading to the arrest and indictment of the sociopath who is responsible for the damage on the 7 train. This person has caused over $300,000 in damages, has caused our customers on the 7 line, folks, working people in Woodside and Sunnyside and Corona and Jackson Heights and Elmhurst delays. And there have been scores of incidents. So $10,000 reward. It'll be administered by Crime Stoppers, although paid for by the MTA. 1-800-577-TIPS. Before I turn it over to Chief Delatorre, I want to call upon our criminal justice partners in the city's district attorney officers to prosecute this person and others who are damaging subway or bus property to the fullest extent of the law. With that, I'll turn it over to Chief Delatorre. Chief.
Good afternoon, everybody. Listen, very briefly, I just want to mention to us that to all of you that it's important that we have the public's assistance here. Can you hear me better this way? Better? Okay. It's important that we have the public's assistance. We know that our history in transit is that most of our major crimes do get solved with the help of the public. We have a great ridership in transit. They're all in. They're part of the operation with us. And there has to have been some witnesses to this vandalism over the course of the last couple of months. So again, I'm calling on the public to pick up their phones, call Crime Stoppers at 1-800-577-TIPS or 1-800-577-8477 and give us some help with this case. It's important to everybody that we close this case soon and stop this vandalism. And I want to echo what the MTA chair just said. We really need the criminal justice system to work here for us. At this point, a good prosecution and putting somebody in jail, keeping them in jail, might send a message out to leave our trains alone so we can get to and from work safely. And with that, I'm going to introduce Inspector Jason Savino, who's the commanding officer of Central Robbery Division and is in charge, basically, of the whole investigative piece of this. He's not going to be able to go very deep into it with you, but he can certainly explain the pattern in general. Okay? Thanks, Jason.
And good afternoon to everybody. And to the MTA, our shared partners, thank you so much for upping that reward. We're very, very confident that somebody out there knows something. So I'll give you just a very, very brief synopsis on the pattern. So right now, as far as breaking transit windows, we're looking at upwards of 70 incidents from May 8th to August 18th. So it doesn't take much to say, hey, listen, this is growing. It's a growing problem. When you compare the statistics to last year, it was virtually non-existent, and now it's very prominent. When you break it down by borough, we're talking 53 in Manhattan, 14 in Queens, 2 in Brooklyn, and 1 up in the Bronx. And much to both the points that were made earlier, we need the public's help. We get a break on the pattern on August 1st when a real good, keen observer makes an observation, sees an individual with a hammer smash a window. What does that individual do? Ultimately films it with their phone. That's a great lead, and that's exactly what we're looking for. That's why the reward is here, and that's why we're here. So once again, we plead to everybody, put on your little detective shields, and if you see something, say something, certainly make us aware of it, and we have the best detectives in the world that'll ultimately bring it all together.
Pat Warren, Chief Safety Officer of the MTA.
Hey, good afternoon. I just want to fill you in on one more fact. Yesterday, unfortunately last night, we had one more outrageous incident on the 7 line where we had 4 more windows broken. Of course, that's all part of this investigation and will continue forward, and it continues to be an infuriating problem for the MTA and for everyone in New York City, because this is your money. This is your time on those trains and the inconvenience it's caused to you. Thank you.
Last comment I want to make before we take questions is the following. What the MTA is going to be pursuing In certain of these cases, and most likely in this one, when the offender is brought into custody, is civil litigation to recover the amount that the MTA has incurred, the $300,000 of damages that I just mentioned. So we will be pursuing that as we go forward, and with that, take questions. Clayton.
Yeah, how many of the 7-line stations have CCTV on the platforms, and do any of the trains have cameras on them? Do you have that?
So, while we have cameras at some stations out there, we're not going to talk about where those are at this particular point in time. Thank you.
Okay, and then one more. There's a lot of concern from people inside the MTA that the NYPD has kind of pulled back from the system a bit, even before the George Floyd protests and all that. Is there any sign that the NYPD is not responding, or is this present in the stations as they used to be, that may be helping cause this?
No, look, we just left a briefing with Chief Delatorre and his team. The Transit Bureau is all out in this case. It's a first-order priority for the MTA as well. That's why I just announced the $10,000 reward that the MTA is going to pay, and the bringing of civil litigation going forward. Next, please.
Hi. Do you believe it's one person behind all of these incidents, or could there be multiple people acting separately? And also, you mentioned the video.
I'm not going to speak to that question.
Okay. You mentioned there was video of somebody that someone took who was holding a hammer. Is that person, have they been identified, and are they still a suspect?
Yeah, that's a great question. I appreciate you wearing awareness for that. Yes, that was put out to media. We'll resubmit it once again. It was put out not once but twice. And once again, there's a $2,500 Crime Stoppers Award from NYPD to be paired with the MTA's $10,000. So once again, everybody, our eyes and ears are the public. Any help would be appreciated.
Yeah. So this money's coming from the MTA. What would you say to someone that would say this isn't like the best use of money given how cash-strapped the MTA is
I'm sorry,
right
I
now?
can't hear.
I'm sorry, I'll speak into the microphone a little bit better. What would you say to someone who says that this is not the best use of money for the cash-strapped MTA given that the $10,000 is coming from them?
I'd say that assertion's ridiculous. Look, this person has already cost us, or people has already cost us $300,000. Trains have been taken out of service. Hundreds of thousands of customers have been disrupted. And clearly, offering a award for information leading to the arrest and indictment of a person who's caused $300,000 in damage and increasing scores of incidents, that is money well spent.
Yeah, it's off topic. Is that okay? It's off topic. Is that okay? Off topic.
Hang on, not yet. Anybody have on topic? All right, so Chief, thank you very much.
Thank you, Chief.
Hang on, Dave.
We'll give you this afterwards. Anybody wants to take a picture of the award? That's a concept.
Here, let's hold it up for him.
10,000 or 2,500?
That's 2,500 from Crime Stoppers.
Okay.
MTA is adding 10,000.
Okay.
Wait, so it's 35,000 total?
Hold it up, Chief.
So it's
Yeah, hold it up, Chief.
12,000.
12,500, Chief?
So
Totally?
2,500 from, let me say this right. 2,500 from Crime Stoppers, 10,000 from the MTA separate. Okay? Got it?
Yeah.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Got it? Ready, guys?
Thank you, Chief.
I got one more, too.
So earlier today, somebody asked the governor about the return of 24/7 subway service. He said, ask the MTA. You all have usually said it's up to the governor. So who's the one that's making the decision about when 24/7 subway service is going to come back?
Yeah, so as we've said, while the pandemic continues, the 1 a.m. to 5 a.m. closure will continue. The state, the Commissioner of Health, will determine the continuation of the pandemic. We're not in the public health business.
So it's the
but
Commissioner of
that's
Health?
consistent with what we've said all along.
So the Commissioner of Health decides when 24/7 service comes back?
I'm sorry?
The Health Commissioner decides when 24/7 service comes back?
As I said, the Commissioner of Health will opine on the continuation of the pandemic. Clayton.
And then along those lines, the governor today also said that you guys have been able to accelerate and accomplish a lot more construction because of the 24/7 subway shutdown. Now, you and I have talked about general orders at length before. It takes almost 4 hours to simply set up and break down construction sites. So is that the case? Are you actually doing more work because of the 4-hour shutdown?
The 4-hour shutdown helps, clearly. The L train is an example of that. During the continuation of the 1 a.m. to 5 a.m. closure, we expect to continue to get greater productivity. The reason for the 1 a.m. to 5 a.m. closure continues to be to allow every subway station and subway car to be disinfected multiple times a day during the pandemic.
Outside of the L train, which was already underway, can you point to any other projects that have been accelerated because of the 4-hour shutdown?
Sure. Every project that for instance, the governor today, not a subway project, announced the new Hyde Park, the elimination of the grade crossing, and that project came in 2 months early. It is not only subways and buses, but the railroads as well, and we're taking advantage of the fact that the ridership is lower, and in certain cases there's less service being provided because of the pandemic. Thanks.